question is, are you ready?
What do you guys want to talk about?
Let me talk to you. Yeah.
Throwdown Nation. It is a Monday. We are live. And man, we are coming out of WrestleMania weekend. It's going to be a good week. We are rolling on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter/X, Facebook, and Twitch. It is episode 216 of the Throwdown, the community on the interwebs, where we celebrate the art and sport of professional wrestling with a strong focus on the indies. I'm your host, Matt, and today we are throwing down with a wrestler based in the great state of Kentucky who is a veteran of the ring wars, having competed in many places and for many companies. My friends, welcome with me, Squeaky Clean, Casey King. How you doing tonight, sir?
I am better than I deserve, my friend. Thank you so much for having me. I am happy to be on here. Get ready to talk some wrestling, something we all love.
Absolutely, brother. And for those of you watching live, let me direct your attention to the ticker that's running on the bottom of the screen. That contains all, or at least most, of Casey's social media accounts along with mine. So do us a favor, if you aren't a follower or subscriber, please take the time and go to each of our platforms and do so. It definitely helps all of us. And while you're at it, mash the like button and drop us a comment. And again, for those of you watching live, if you have questions or comments, just throw them in the chat, and we'll either handle them as we go or do a little Q&A at the end. So we'll go ahead and get started with the first and really the most obvious question, and that is, how long have you been wrestling?
So I started training in 2015. So it's been about 11 years ago now, but I wasn't able to dedicate my full time that I needed to it because I was in college. So once I started training, I got a few months under my belt. I decided to really focus on college and continue my pursuit of wrestling after I graduated. So I really started in 2017. That's what I say my official start was in April 2017. We're coming up in a couple of weeks here on my 9-year anniversary, and I'm very blessed to be able to do it this long. Hasn't always looked like I was going to be able to. So we're going on a decade now, and it's been a fun journey, and I wouldn't trade it for the world, man.
That is awesome, brother. Out of curiosity, what did you study in college?
So I actually went to be a pipe fitter. So I studied welding technology and engineering, and I wanted to travel and work in power plants and, stuff like that. Very blue collar work, but I thought it was an easy path to making a lot of money, and it ran in my family. Everyone in my family is some type of blue collar worker, a lot of pipe fitters. But it wasn't for me. And I was sitting there taking a final one day in college, and I was welding on a pipe, and I was listening to Colt Cabana's Art of Wrestling. And it was just during that final, I was like, and Colt Cabana's always been my guy. And I was like, man, that's a shot. And the rest is history.
Gotcha. So, I know the answer to this, but I'll ask it for the sake of people who may not, and that is, who trained you?
Yeah, so I was trained by Bobby Blaze and Jillian Hall, two of the really the only two stories of professional wrestling that come out of Ashland, Kentucky, where I'm from. They both made it in wrestling, and they're both testaments to how hard work and dedication can lead you to success no matter where you're from. We're a little podunk Ashland, Kentucky, but they made it to the top. And Jillian was literally the women's champion of the world at one point. So they've made it to the very top of the industry, and they just, I'm so honored and blessed to be under the tutelage still to this day. And I can text them anytime I have any questions or need advice or, just some critiques, and they get back to me right away. So I'm very blessed to come from world-class trainers and mentors.
That's awesome. Jillian Hall has always struck me as just a quality human being as well. She just seems like just a great lady.
I could spend all podcast talking about how much Jillian and Bobby mean to me. Jillian is my wrestling mom, and she's not afraid to tell me like it is. She's not afraid to tell me the truth, and neither is Bobby. But Jillian has really opened my eyes to how easy professional wrestling can be. Maybe not easy, but how simple wrestling can be. And maybe that's a better way to put it. And before I started getting hooked up with her in 2020, I was really kind of complacent, and I wasn't, I was getting booked against big names in my local area, and I was content with that. But she really opened my eyes to the potential that I could have if I really set my mind to it. And, if she wasn't there to light a fire under me, I think I would still be, just another local wrestler. And the old saying is, you can go to any tree in Kentucky and shake it, and 10 wrestlers will fall out of it. I didn't want to be one of those. I wanted to be a professional. So I got professional training, and I'm very blessed to have been able to do so.
Got you. So in the early stages of your wrestling training, what would you say was the most challenging aspect of professional wrestling for you to wrap your mind and body around?
It's the same as it is today. I still struggle with it, and that's the fitness and nutrition and, looking like a professional wrestler. And thankfully, lately, I've gotten into the best shape of my life. But I wish I would have had the knowledge I have now 10 years ago. I wish I wouldn't have been playing catch up this whole time, because now I'm on the wrong side of 30 trying to keep up with people 10 years younger than me. And, I'm working my butt off to be able to do so. But it's, that's not the in-ring part of it, but it is at the same time. You have to be in good shape and have good conditioning to be able to take care of yourself and your opponents and make sure everybody gets home safely. So that was the biggest struggle. And a lot of it wasn't even a struggle. It was more of just being lazy and just being complacent. And I wish I would have had the knowledge I have now back then.
Gotcha. So did you come to professional wrestling with an athletic or other type of martial art or combat sport background? Had you played other sports? Had you done any other kind of martial arts prior to professional wrestling?
So I boxed and wrestled throughout school. I never really committed my time to getting really good at either one, though. I played a lot of basketball in school, and I've always been kind of like a sneaky athlete. I wasn't a standout athlete in high school. I wasn't on the football team or the basketball team in high school, middle school, and elementary school, sure. But I've always been kind of sneaky athletic. Like if we go like pickup games, people would be like, "Oh, okay, maybe he's not, just the wrestling kid. He's not the wrestling fan." Because there's a stigma surrounding wrestling fans. They could be.
Oh yeah.
So I would classify myself as a sneaky athlete, a sneaky athletic, and even I think still today, I think maybe not so much anymore because I am getting in better shape, thankfully. But I do things sometimes that people are like, "Oh shoot, I didn't think Casey could do that." So I wasn't, a varsity athlete or anything like that by any means.
Gotcha. So, I'm presuming simply because this has been the answer that I've gotten from this question from the majority of people I've had on the show, but I'm presuming you've been at least a fan of professional wrestling the majority of your life. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. I started watching in 2003, and there's been a few times there that I stopped, and my fandom has lapsed. And it's a funny story I have with Jillian, and I stopped watching in 2009. It might have been late 2008 when WWE did WWE Idol on Monday Night Raw, and Jillian was a part of it. And I joke that she made me quit watching wrestling for 3 years because I hated that segment so bad as a kid. Because I was in high school, I thought this isn't cool anymore.
Right.
So I explored other avenues, and it's funny how wrestling can come and go, but it's always there. And I've been a fan ever since, and I can't think of anything better.
Gotcha. What would you say is your earliest wrestling-related memory?
So my very earliest memory is my dad watching, I'm assuming Monday Night Raw in probably 2002, and Hollywood Hulk Hogan coming down at the NWO music in the black and white, and him walking to the ring, and I was like, oh man, this is cool. And this guy's somebody. I didn't start watching then, but my earliest memory, like when I first started being an actual fan, was Kane tombstoning Linda McMahon on Raw on the stage whenever he was feuding with Shane and all that. He took his mask off. That was my earliest memory, and Kane scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. I thought he was going to show up at my house Sunday. Yeah, it was awesom.
Yep. And I know completely what you mean about, your fandom kind of ebbs and flows at different points in your life, but, wrestling's always going to be there for you, which is really a beautiful thing. And, because there was a time when my son was really young that I was just busy with all of that. And, I was still kind of keeping an eye on the business by, looking at the dirt sheets online and stuff, but I wasn't watching the product. And, right about 2017 or so, I guess my son was around 8 at that point, I started hearing about this guy, Kenny Omega, over in Japan. And I knew that we got New Japan on Access TV. So I started kind of watching that, and Kenny pulled me back in, and I've been watching pretty religiously ever since. But yeah, that's the beautiful thing about it, though. It's always going to be there for you when you need it. So
of course, it's unlike anything else. It really is.
Absolutely. So obviously the physical side of this is extremely important. So tell us a bit about your gym routine, and in your mind, what would you say are the most crucial exercise or group of exercises to keep you in ring shape?
The most crucial thing isn't even exercise, it's diet, it's nutrition. And, I wish that more people would understand that, because I see a lot of people, and I was one of them for a long time, trying to out-train poor diet. And I would... the days of getting $20 paydays after wrestling and spending the entire $20 on sheets after, sheets food or Wawa or Speedway food, and just gorging down 3,000 calories like it was nothing after the show. And then wondering why I was, getting a little chubby, getting some love handles. As far as like in the gym and the actual lifting goes, I honestly lift mainly for aesthetics, and I don't really, see a whole lot of necessary exercises per se, except conditioning. Like, you have to have good condition, you have to have good cardio. Bobby Blaze always told me, and I believe it came from Carl Gotch, that conditioning is your best hold. And what that means is, the old adage of rest holds. When you're tired, you grab a hold and you set and you catch your breath. But if you got good conditioning, you don't have to do that, and you're able to go. So honestly, conditioning. So like if you're not able to get to a ring and run spots and sequences and drills, run some HIIT cardio. Do 30 seconds on, 10 seconds off, just like you're running a spot. Arm drag, drop kick, set. Let stuff soak in. that's all hit cardio. So nutrition and hit training would be the two I would definitely recommend. And nutrition is key, guys. Like it's vital. It's more important than the exercising. It really is.
Gotcha. And I loved that saying that you just that you just spat out. You can't out train bad nutrition. That is so true. I mean,
and I tried.
Yeah. So, away from wrestling, what are some of your other hobbies and interests? What do you like to do with whatever spare time you might have?
I really do enjoy going to the gym now, but besides that, I'm a big movie guy. I love movies. I love going to the movies. I'm just a big cinema guy, and I love comic books and camping and amusement parks, and I'm a big reader too. I love reading, mostly about wrestling, but about other stuff too. And I'm just kind of a big nerd at heart, and I think it's because of wrestling. I think wrestling is all that stuff wrapped up into one. It's movies, it's comic books, it's mythology. It's all my passions rolled into one.
Absolutely. It's funny. I'm a fairly voracious reader myself, and actually, I'm in one of the books that I'm reading currently. I'm in the middle of AJ Lee's autobiography, which is quite good. And
I just finished it like 2 months ago.
Yeah, great book. And I also recently finished Killer Cross's book, and that was also quite good. If you haven't read that.
I have not. I just finished, actually, yesterday, it took me like a day to read, but I finished Animal Farm, getting ready for the new movie, but I don't know if I even see the movie because it's supposed to be really bad. But I reread Animal Farm, and then I'm getting ready to start Drew McIntyre's book that has very good reviews, and I'm very excited to start reading that.
Nice. So, we're mostly a wrestling-related show, but we do dabble a little bit into pop culture. And I'm always looking for recommendations. So you mentioned that you're a cinema guy. Have you seen anything really cool recently?
Yeah, I mean, as far as recent releases, Project Hail Mary, I believe, is one of the most important movies that's going to happen in our lifetime. I think it is an achievement in cinema. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend seeing it in theaters. As far as other stuff goes, Hopper's, the new Pixar movie, is awesome. It's peak Pixar, and I think it's as good as anything else they've ever done. As far as stuff that didn't just come out, I'm a big coming of age movie guy. I love coming of age movies. The Snack Shack on Amazon Prime is phenomenal. Mid '90s, Jonah Hill directed that. It's also phenomenal. It's about kind of like we were talking about how we get to high school and wrestling's not cool anymore, so you stop watching it. It's kind of about a kid in LA that he's growing up and he sees a skater crew and he's like, man, that's cool. All this stuff I'm into, it's not cool anymore. The Ninja Turtles, it's not cool anymore. I'm a skater kid now. I'm going to get in with this crew. And it's just about, just coming of age and discovering life and figuring out who you are. And I'm all about that kind of stuff. The movie that I watched that I think is a masterpiece is The Florida Project. It's probably the best movie I'm never going to watch again because it is just so depressing. And it's just about this little girl who lives right outside Disney World, and her life sucks. She lives in a little crappy motel outside Disney World, and her mom's not the best person, and she's right outside the happiest place on earth, and she doesn't even know it. And
wow.
She doesn't know her life sucks. She thinks it's fine, but us, the viewers, know, and it's a fantastic movie. I think it is a masterpiece. It is. A lot of those actors, that's the only thing they've ever done. And it's crazy how good it is. But I highly recommend The Florida Project. If I could only recommend one, it'd be that one and Project Hail Mary. I think those two are just very, very important pieces of media.
Yeah, I read Project Hail Mary a few years ago and really enjoyed it, and I'm anxious to actually see the movie. I've heard, you're not the first person to say it's just amazing. So I'm definitely excited to see it. And looking over at the Instagram chat, my wife Julia is hanging out with us, and Mad Lad Hatter is hanging out as well.
Hey guys, how we doing?
So, another outside of wrestling question, and that is outside of wrestling, what person inspires you the most and why?
It would be my wife, honestly. She is the most selfless person that I've ever met, and I could not be Casey King without her. And I say that not because she's going to see this, because she'll never see this. She doesn't she doesn't watch my stuff, but she prepares all my food for me, and she makes sure that my nutrition is taken care of, and she makes sure she holds me accountable, and she's my biggest supporter. And as selfless as she is inspires me to be selfish in my own life. And I can't overstate how important her impact on Casey King has been, because I'm not here unless she's here. And I've been with her for 12 years now, a long time. And, we've grown up together, and we've discovered life together, and we figured this thing out together, and we're going to continue to do so. And it would definitely be her, as cliche as an answer that is. She's the one.
That's awesome, brother. Speaking from the perspective of somebody that's been married almost 28 years, when you find the right person, there is nothing like it. But I think you know that. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's, I mean, you and I are both very blessed, obviously. So you mentioned that you're from Ashland, Kentucky. What is your favorite thing about Ashland?
Yeah, so I've traveled around this country wrestling, and I even lived in Cleveland, Ohio for a little while in the mid 2000s. And everywhere I go, I just miss home, man. This is home. This. I don't know if everyone feels the same way as I do about the hometown, but I love it here. It's quiet. There's not a lot of stuff going on. Every now and then there's some stuff that pops up that makes the news. And, we were hit pretty hard by the opioid epidemic, which I was in the middle of working at a treatment center for almost a decade. So I saw firsthand how it affected this region. And I think that has made me appreciate it even more, honestly. We were a big industrial hotbed for a long time with AK Steel and Marathon and all those, and Armco, and now it's pretty much just a hospital and Marathon. And this region has changed a lot, but as far opposite I am of the beliefs of most people that live here in Eastern Kentucky, I still find that there's a community here that cares about one another. And it's a testament. Like every winter, I do a coat drive, and I just try to give out coats to people who need them, because life sucks. We don't need to be cold too, and it's the people that reach out to me wanting to help every single year is just mind boggling. I don't have to. Originally I was putting out all the money into it myself, but now I don't put a dime into it because the community around here comes together, and it's a small town, but sometimes it feels like a big city. And but at the same time, it's still that personality, and that it's very personal here, I believe. And it's just home, man. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just home.
I love it, man. Absolutely love it. There is a lot to be said for small town living.
Absolutely.
So, they say that the best wrestling personas are usually pretty much yourself turned up to 1,000. So tell us about in-ring Casey King and kind of compare and contrast him with everyday you.
Yeah, so I think my temper can be a little less patient than Casey King's can be, but I do honestly try to find the best in every situation. And the in-ring Casey King, he knows life sucks, and he knows times are hard, and there's no really signs of it getting any better, unfortunately. So the reason he's trying to hug everybody is because for him, he knows sometimes a hug can make everything seem okay for a little while. So he's trying to spread that. And in real life, I really do try to see the best in everything, and I'm not always the squeaky clean, nice guy that I would like to be. But nobody's perfect, and you have to learn from our mistakes, and that's all Casey King, the character, is about as well. It's about overcoming the obstacles and the mistakes that you make. And I've made a ton of mistakes in my life, and we all have, and I'm no stranger to that. I'm no exception. And I think the same lesson can be taken from both me and Squeaky Clean Casey King, and that's just learning from the mistakes. And that's all it is. It's a lot of Casey King is me, and a lot of me is Casey King. But I try every day to be more and more like the in-ring Casey King that I strive to be.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's interesting that, your goal is to be more like your in-ring persona. That's actually pretty cool. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it really is. I try to be like, not like the same personality type, but like I try to be the Mr. Rogers and the Bob Ross of wrestling. Like I try to spread positivity, and there's enough guys in the business that are big musclehead, with the ooze machismo and the tough guys, and nothing against that. If I looked like that, I would try to be that too. But I don't look like that, so I can't be that. So I'm trying to be something different. And there's not a lot of guys who are willing to get beat up and overcome those odds, and that's why I'm best. I believe that's overcoming odds and putting myself in a predicament that I need to fight my way out of. Rocky Balboa-esque.
Yep, love it. So tell us about your very first match. What was it like? How did it go? What were your thoughts about it? Let's hear about the very first one.
Yeah, so the very first one was April 29th, 2017. It was a battle royal for FTC in Ironton, Ohio. And that's where I started out with Bobby Blaze. And, it was just going to be originally just a battle royal. I go in there, I punch, I kick, I get thrown out. But I wasn't happy with that. I wanted to make the most of this. And I knew if I was only going to be in a battle royal for 30 seconds or whatever, that I wanted people to remember me. So I pitched the idea of getting thrown out first after I cut a promo. At the time, I was a heel. And so that's what I did. It got approved. In that match, we had people like Myron Reed, who's an AEW superstar now, and Tyler Matrix, who was on his way to being one of the best wrestlers on the entire planet. And, it was full of talent. But I wanted to make the most out of it, so I cut this promo, got thrown out immediately, and Myron Reed was the first person to ever hit me with a wrestling move, which is pretty cool, in a match. And I got thrown out, and it was gone as fast as it came, but people remembered it. People remembered Casey King, and they remembered me talking crap and getting beat up, which that's what heels are supposed to do. So I wanted to make the most out of it, and it was an experience that I really, really am appreciative of, because I was in it with such talented people, and people that I really had no business being in the ring with at the time, but I'm glad I was. But it was a blast, man. It was a blast, and I'm blessed to have been able to make the most out of it.
Gotcha. So we've heard about the first one. Now, if you can narrow it down, tell us about your favorite match that you've been a part of.
Oh, man, if I had to pick one, it would be at ASW in Madison, West Virginia. There was a year leading up to it. I came back from injury, and I was a surprise entrant in a battle royal. It was going to be a one-off thing. I got injured and I had to step away from wrestling. And at the time, I thought it was forever. I was content with my time in wrestling. But every year, ASW does a battle royal to honor our good friend Nathan Bush, who passed away way too young. He was 32, left behind a family that loved him very much, and we did too. So I wanted to be a surprise in that Rumble, just to pay a tribute to him. And it was going to be a one-off thing, but Chance Prophet needed a way to get the crowd to hate him. And what better than turning on the returning babyface that walked away from wrestling due to injury? So he did. He turned on me, and it was still going to be a one-off thing. I was going to let him get his heat. And as time and time went on, and I decided that the injury risk was worth it, and I got a clean bill of health. I came back, and we built to this War Games match in West Virginia, 5-on-5. It was a 2-ring, single cage War Games match as it was meant to be. And it was a year of build-up going into this. And I started that match with Troy Parker, who is one of the absolute best wrestlers on the planet right now, period. And we went, me and him stayed in there for the entire hour. We beat the crap out of each other. And it's just a year of storyline and build-up to this payoff of me starting the match, getting the final pin on Troy, who also started the match. And just the baby faces standing tall at the end of the night. Me proving that I can go in there and I can go for an hour. I can go in there and I can throw hands with the best wrestlers on the planet. I can go in there and I can show that I belong and I am a professional wrestler. And that is, without question, my favorite match I've ever been a part of. There's other ones like any of my matches with Ethan Page or any of the matches on my own promotion that I run. Those mean a lot to me. And my match with Colt Cabana, when I finally got to team with him last year, meant more than I could ever express. But if I had to pick
no
one, it would be the War Games match for sure.
Gotcha. So you've been doing this long enough that I'm sure you've developed some of these, but what is your biggest wrestling-related pet peeve?
Oh man, you're gonna get me canceled. No, it goes back to what we said, and I can say this because I was this for a long time, and it's the people that don't put any effort into the gym. I really believe that we are professional athletes, and the reason wrestling has a stigma is because people watch an independent wrestling show and they'll see 15 people that look like they should be in the crowd. And I don't mean that as any slight towards anyone. I just believe that we should look like athletes. I was working out. It's been a few months ago now, and I was in the gym with Bobby Blaze. He was there. I was there. We were doing our own thing. We weren't working out together, but he came up to me, and I had a show that night. And he came up to me and said, "Casey, everything you do is a testament. It's a reflection on me. It's a reflection on Julian. It's a reflection on your training. It's a reflection on your nutrition. It's a reflection on how hard you're working right now. And if you walk into any locker room not knowing that you belong, you need to get out of the business because you do belong." And that made me feel real good because the hard work that I'm putting in is showing to other people, and other people are noticing. That means I need to stop being so hard on myself and noticing too. But my pet peeve is people who don't put the work in outside of the ring. It's just as important, guys. It's called professional wrestling. We need to look the part. We need to captivate people who see us. If a kid comes to a show and he sees us, he needs to be like, "Oh man, that's a wrestler." And I'm a tall, skinny guy, but dang it, I have a 6-pack and I got big arms. So if nothing else, I look like a professional athlete. Maybe not a wrestler, but I look like an athlete. And that's my biggest pet peeve. And people are gonna hate on that and twist that around, but I was that person for a long time who thought that it wasn't as necessary as it is. And I lived and I learned and I made the mistakes, and who knows where I would be if I would have gotten in shape years ago. Because the first time I showed up at AEW, I looked like a bag of pudding. And I didn't get a match, and it took me 3 years and a lot of gym time to finally get a match at AEW. And as soon as I got in shape and looked like an athlete, they used me. So, who's to say if I was in shape 3 years before that, what could have happened?
But you know what? I'm a firm believer that God has you where you're supposed to be at any given time, and you bloom where you're planted. So, so I mean, yeah, if you had taken, conditioning and nutrition more seriously early on, yeah, I mean, you might have gotten it, gotten some opportunities earlier, but you're where you're supposed to be. So,
absolutely.
So, So if you could only be one, would you rather be great in the ring or great on the mic?
Greater than Mike, I believe. I think that wrestling, like I said before, it's very simple. I think I would rather talk people into the building and deliver a match that makes them feel something. Not saying that the Kenny Omegas and the Will Ospreays can't do that because I love them as well. I think they are phenomenal and some of the greatest we've ever seen. I just think that if I had to pick a career, I'd want to be Dusty Rhodes and The Rock if I had to pick one. And that's that's just me. Maybe I'm saying that because I'm not that good in the ring, but here we are.
Gotcha. You were mentioning a few minutes ago Ethan Page, man. I am so happy to see him having the success that he's having in NXT right now, and I can't wait to see him on the main roster. I have always felt like that guy is so underrated. He can talk, he can wrestle his butt off. The guy is just an amazing talent. I'm a huge Ethan Page mark. So.
Yeah, me too, buddy. Me too. He's just the nicest guy. He taught me so much and helped me so much, and he still responds to my messages anytime I message him. He's not too big to do that, and that means a lot to me. I messaged him not too long ago asking if I could put him down in a reference on a resume, and he told me, of course I can. So I did, and it's just cool that he's having all the success that he's having, and he still takes time to message this guy back who he wrestled twice, and
Yep.
just another day for him.
Yeah, absolutely. But it says a lot about the content of his character. So, but so, do you have an all-time favorite match as a fan? Is there a match that is near and dear to your heart that you find yourself circling back on? I can tell you've got at least one. So, what you got?
Absolutely. I can talk about this for an hour, so please stop me. I believe that there has never been a better professional wrestling match than Sasha Banks vs. Bayley at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. I think there have been matches as good, many matches as good, but I don't think I've ever seen one better. I think Bayley was as good as a babyface as we've ever seen that night. I don't think she's the best babyface ever, but I think that night she was. And I think Sasha Banks was the perfect heel to play a part of that. And it's, wrestling is all about how it makes you feel when you watch it. And that match made me feel, it made me believe in Bayley. And of course, my character's inspiration, it takes a lot from Bayley. It's not all, it's not a complete ripoff, but it might as well be sometimes. I think phenomenal. I think she's the most underrated wrestler probably ever, women or men. I think that match is just everything professional wrestling can be. And if you haven't watched it lately or never at all, please go out of your way to watch it. It's classic good versus evil, babyface overcoming the odds. And it's just absolutely phenomenal. And I'm going to talk about this till I'm blue in the face, so I'm going to stop now. But Sasha Banks vs. Bayley, NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, I don't think there's ever been a wrestling match better.
Gotcha. Well, it's funny. I was going to ask you later on if Bayley had been an inspiration for your character, and you just answered my question. So that's I had a feeling, but she is somebody else that I feel, granted she's had an amazing career, but I do feel like she is still underrated. So
I really think she is one of the best of all time. I think she is the best female wrestler we've ever seen. And it's just a matter of time before she gets her the credit she deserves. And she already does, but I think she deserves even more.
Yeah. So piggybacking onto that question, do you have an all-time favorite promo as a fan?
I'm sure I do. I don't have one ready off the dome to tell you, but if you gave me enough time, I could think of one. I was just talking the other day. The one that comes to mind because it was on the cover. I had the Dusty Rhodes DVD growing up, where you push the button and it plays the Hard Times promo, and
Oh yeah.
so I wore that out. So I mean, if you made me pick one right now, it'd be that, just because I listened to it probably, no joke, 1,000 times, just because you push the button on the DVD case and it would play. So if you made me pick one, it'd be that one.
Gotcha. So, and this can be past or present. Who would be a dream opponent? Who would be somebody that you would love to have the opportunity to share a ring with that you haven't had the opportunity to as of yet?
So, like we talked about, how I enjoy putting myself in situations that I have to fight out of. I enjoy being the underdog, and I enjoy working that style of match. Big vs. little, David vs. Goliath. And it's very timely right now that I'm going to say this, but Brock Lesnar would be the one, I believe. I believe that he is, when he's motivated, he's one of the greatest ever. And, who better to work David to his Goliath than Brock Lesnar? I know it wouldn't be an easy match. I would fill it the next week probably, but that would definitely be the one.
Oh yeah. Last night was interesting seeing Brock on the other end of what amounted to a squash match. I mean, that was, he did an amazing job putting Obafemi over.
Yes, he did. And, it's just if you didn't react to that a little bit, I question your fandom sometimes,
Yeah. I mean, and seeing, seeing Brock at the end there start to get emotional. I mean, you normally you don't see that out of Brock Lesnar. So I mean, I felt like there were some really real moments there, and to me, that's where the magic happens in professional wrestling.
Absolutely, that's exactly what it is. It's all about how it makes you feel.
Yep. It's the old saying, love you or hate you, they'll never forget you. I mean, so using kind of a literary term here, do you have a foil? Meaning, do you have another wrestler that you have amazing in-ring chemistry with, and if you're working that person, it's going to be a banger? Do you have such a person?
Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on. There'd be four that come to mind, but if you're going to make me pick one, I'm going to pick. I'll pick Shane Kryzak. He is a local wrestler who, he's a little bit younger than I am. He started a little bit before I did, so he has more experience than me. But he's a very underrated independent wrestler. And we've been wrestling each other for years and years and years and years. And he's the guy I call upon anytime I need a stress-free match. Like, for example, I run a promotion called Let's Go Wrestling, and I ran a show last May, and it was my first show that I needed to sell a lot of tickets for. I'd ran a show, a couple fundraiser shows, or I ran a limited seating show, and I wasn't really worried about ticket sales because it was sold out, it was a fundraiser or whatever. This show I really needed to sell a lot of tickets, so I had Carson Drake book defending the NWA TV title against me in the main event in my hometown. I thought that would get some ticket sales, and it did. But the night before, Carson got hurt on a show we were both on in Cincinnati, and he busted his head open. He had a concussion, and unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it the next night. So, break glass in case of emergency. Shane Kryzak, you're on the card already. I need something I don't have to worry about. Let's come on over here and let's do what we need to do. And, we do talk a lot about our matches, but it's only because I'm hearing impaired and I'm deaf. I don't need to talk to him about anything. He doesn't need to talk to me about anything. We know each other so well, and we hit each other so hard that, it's just that being around each other for so long, we've kind of grown up in the business together. Like I said, he has more experience than I am. And, he's here to help anymore. He's his day of trying to go above and maybe quote unquote make it. That varies by definition or over the past him. He's just here to have a good time and wrestle with his friends and help teach. And he's just so good, and he's my perfect foil. He really is. I just want to throw out a couple others. Troy Parker, I've been relying on him since he started training. He's one of the best wrestlers on the planet. I know he brings out the best in me, and I like to think that I bring out the best in him in different ways. I know we're going to go in there and hit each other hard, and it's going to be a good match. Jackie Thad is the ultimate opportunist. He reminds me a lot of 2000's Edge, which is just a perfect contrast to the Squeaky Clean character. And Donovan Cecil, who is kind of like the Indies' Brock Lesnar. He's legitimately the strongest man in Kentucky. I think he won second in Ohio, and I believe Indiana as well. So he's legitimately one of the strongest people on the planet. And I know that anytime that I'm going to wrestle him, it's going to be easy because I'm just going to get beat up and come back from it. And those four are ones that I definitely want to give shout outs to.
Gotcha. So what is your favorite move? What is something you just really enjoy doing? And on the flip side of that, is there a move that you won't do or you would at least rather not do? And that can be giving or receiving.
Yeah, so I'm an arm drag guy. I love arm drags. And this is assuming we're not counting just hugging people as a move. But I'm an arm drag guy. Yeah. And yeah. I struggled with my arm drags for a long time, for a few years, really, and it's just one day it clicked. Oh, I know how to do this. I can do these. And now I get compliments on my arm drags all the time. Anytime I pull one out, the commentators usually put it over. And, I was wrestling Eddie Edwards last year, and he said, and my comeback was arm drag, and he was like, "Man, nice arm drags." I was like, "Yeah, thanks, Eddie Edwards. That really means a lot to me." And I'm an arm drag guy. I love arm drags, and I think it would always be my favorite move just because how simple it is and how blessed I am to be able to have a good one. Because a lot of people don't. And a move that I just don't want to take. There's not a whole lot because, like I said, I am getting beat up quite a bit in my style, and that's okay. But I really don't enjoy anything that like any power driver variation if I don't know you. If it's my first time wrestling you, I prefer not to. Let's go in there and feel each other out first. From Jack, and I think Troy Parker as well. And I know them a lot, and I would trust them with my life. And I have. And when you take a power driver, you have to. So I prefer not to do those if it's our first time meeting.
Gotcha. So, a move that is not in your current move set, but if you could snap your fingers and suddenly be able to do a move that is not in your move set currently perfectly, what move would it be?
It'd be 450, a second rope 450 to be exact. I think second rope moves are underrated and not used very much. And I think that I think that a second rope 450 would be incredible. And I really do believe I can do it. I'm going to go to training as soon as we get off here, and maybe I'll try it tonight. But it's just a matter of getting it in. I think a 450 is very impressive. And if you can do it, I'm eternally jealous of you. But I think a second rope 450 to be exact would be a phenomenal move to add to my repertoire.
Gotcha. So, you've been doing this long enough that I'm sure this applies to one degree or another. So I'll ask you, what hurts right now?
Man, my neck's been killing me for the last week. It really has. Last weekend I had 3 matches and a lot of traveling in between. And, they say it's not the wrestling that gets you, it's the travel. And I'm on the wrong side of 30. I'm not as young as I used to be, but my neck has been killing me this week.
Gotcha. So, over your time doing this, what would you say is the worst bump you have taken?
As far as the most painful bump, it doesn't. A bump doesn't really come to mind. Because I'm so conditioned to bumps because a lot of my, I guess, like we've talked about, a lot of my matches are selling and taking offense. But one of the things that does come to mind is in December last year, I was wrestling. It was called a Reindeer Games match. It was just a Christmas street fight, pretty much. And my opponent, who I won't name, hit me with a kendo stick. And for some reason, he hit me full force right on the elbow. And I had immediately became nauseous. And I told him he was supposed to hit me 2 or 3 times. And I was like, nope, we're not doing that anymore. We're done. And it is the absolute worst pain I probably ever felt. Worse than tearing my ACL, worse than breaking any bone. You know, I took a power bomb outside of the ring to 2 tables recently from Troy Parker, and that was a dream compared to getting hit in the elbow with a kendo stick. I would never do that again, and I don't know why he did it. He tried to blame it on me at first, and I was like, no, absolutely not. This is you. It was awful. Awful, awful, awful. Nauseating.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, knowing everything you know at this point in your life, if you could give any advice to your younger self, aside from watch your nutrition earlier, what would it be?
I mean, you took my answer, but honestly, it would just be to go for it, man. It would be to go for it, and it would be to not be scared, because like I talked about a little bit, in 2023, I got hurt, and legitimately, it was an injury that was scary, and I was told that it'd be best if I stepped away from wrestling and didn't take the risk of hurting my hearing any more than it already is. But if we're being honest with yourself, it's been 3 years now. The other day, I think on last Thursday, was my 3-year anniversary of my last match, what I thought was going to be my last match. And it's finally taken me this long to admit to myself that I stepped away because, yes, I was hurt, but I stepped away because I was scared. And I was scared because people around me were putting these expectations on me that I wasn't sure that I could live up to. And I'm going to start crying here. I'm sorry. It's just you're your own biggest critic. You're your own biggest obstacle, and you're hardest on yourself.
Yep.
And I promise I'm harder on myself than anyone else could possibly be. And my advice is just to be to buy in and just to go for it, and don't be afraid to fail, because I was, and I still am, and one day I'll get over that, hopefully. But I had all these people talking me up about how much potential I had, and I was scared that I would disappoint them. And you can't live like that.
No.
It's only, learning. It's how can I do this better next time? And, showing up to AEW looking like a bag of pudding, like I said, that was traumatizing for me, and it was nobody's fault but my own. I had no one to blame but myself.
Yep.
Situation, and I just got scared. Like, man, am I wasting my time? What am I doing this for? So my advice would just be to believe in yourself and don't back off, and just keep going and buy in 100%, because the hard work and dedication can get you anywhere.
Absolutely. And like you said, we can all be our own worst enemy. And it's important to give yourself grace, because nobody else will.
Yeah. Bobby Blaze always tells me, Casey, man, you got the world by the balls, and you're the only one that doesn't know it. And, it's something that I need to get better at. And the support system around me that I have surrounded myself with has been a godsend, because they hold me accountable, but also they talk me up the right amount too, and they don't let me get too full of myself, but also they bring me back down to earth when I need it. So I'm very blessed.
That's a beautiful thing, man. So do you have any pre-show traditions, any things that you try to do consistently before you walk through the curtain?
The last thing that I say before I walk through the curtain, every time, any show I'm on, it's let's go have some fun. And I'm saying that to everybody that's back there, because if we're not having fun, we're doing it wrong. And, that is my pre-show condition. If nothing else, if I don't have time to stretch, or there's not enough room to get some push-ups in, or, get a pump going or whatever, we're gonna have some fun. And if I don't say that, it's not going to be. I'm a little superstitious. We got to have some fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So something that we've done in all of these that's just been kind of fun is we've let the current guest pose a question for the next guest. So one of my recent guests, a wrestler based out in Texas by the name of Kyrie Adams, posed this question. What, of the various titles in professional wrestling, what would be a dream title for you? What belt would you love to hold?
Mate, I think that I would be lying if I said it wasn't the world title. And if I had to pick one, it's going to be the WWE World Championship. I want to be at WrestleMania. I want to hold that belt high. If we're being a little more realistic, I just love to champion the indies. So any promotion that believes in me enough to put the belt on me, I'm honored and privileged to have, and I will champion them as much as I can. But let's not kid ourselves. I want to be champion of the world.
Absolutely. So since this is part of a series, do you have a question you would like to ask to a future guest?
Yeah. So, I talk a lot about being your own biggest critic, and so let's make it a little serious one. And when you're down, what brings you out of it? When you're thinking this all, like, what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? Is this worth it? When you get down like that, what brings you out of it? What is your go-to to snap you out of those down times? Mine is definitely watching more wrestling, and reminding myself about and what the goals. But what's there? Still go to get to snap them out of those things that we all have.
Gotcha. So we're getting pretty much toward the end of things now. So do you have any upcoming shows or anything at all that you'd like to give some hype to?
Yeah, this weekend I'm at Power Slam Pro in Huntington, West Virginia. Next weekend, Spot Monkey Promotions. They are having the Harambe Memorial Battle Royal. It's a show that's getting a lot of buzz in the Cincinnati area. It's been 10 years since Harambe was tragically murdered at the Cincinnati Zoo. So I'm looking forward to that show. I'm in the Harambe Battle Royal, and also I have a singles match earlier on the card. So hopefully I can go 2 for 2 and win both of them. Appalachian Mountain Wrestling in Pikeville, Kentucky, the day after that. I'm kind of all over the place right now, all throughout the Midwest. I just announced a show for myself on June 14th for my promotion, Let's Go Wrestling, in Ironton, Ohio. It is a promotion based on fun and having a party. It's very colorful. It's very fun. It's very based heavily on characters and just feel good moments. And if that sounds like something you're into, please come check us out June 14th. Other than that, man, I'm all over the place. Appalachian Mountain Wrestling, All-Star Wrestling, Pro Wrestling Conquest, Spot Monkey Promotions, Power Slam Pro. There's just so many to name. I shouldn't have started naming them because I'm going to leave some out. Innovate Pro Wrestling, Inferior Pro Wrestling, Emerge Wrestling. There's so many of them, man. I'm blessed to be busy, and I'm blessed to be, 10 years in and still kicking.
Man, that is awesome. Well, as far as what we've got coming up on the Throwdown, this Wednesday, 2 days from now, 7 p.m. Eastern, we've got episode 218, and our guest is another wrestler based out of the great state of Texas, Mr. Jaden Black. And then this Friday, the 24th, 7 p.m. Eastern, we've got episode 219, and our guest is a wrestler based out of North Carolina, the Last Savior, Elliot Shock. And actually, at this point, I am booked up pretty much through the month of May, and I'm starting to take bookings into June at this point. So we're basically booked about 6 weeks out. And man, I absolutely love doing this show, and definitely keep an eye on my socials because we've got a lot of cool stuff coming up. So before we wrap all this up, do you have any final words, Casey?
And I'll leave you with what I say every time before I step through the curtain. Let's have some fun, guys.
Absolutely, man. And that is a heck of a way to wrap things up, man. And for those of you that have been watching this live, thank you. For those of you that'll be seeing this on replays and such, thank you for that. If you like what we've got going here, definitely do the old like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until Wednesday night with Jaden Black, be good to each other, love each other, and let's keep throwing down.